Welcome back to another week's recap for spring 2025. And there's been some interesting changes this week. We're going to have to jump straight into it because we have more things to look at this week because of a huge tie. We will get onto it momentarily. But before we can, we need to look at our number 5 worst slot of the week. By the way, big spoilers upcoming. Evil Lord. Now, here's the thing. I'm the Evil Lord of an intergalactic empire. This show dropped 3 episodes simultaneously. I cannot tell you what happened in this episode. I hate the fact that I can't, but I have zero clue what happened in this episode. I believe this is after he wakes up from. They have like pods that you're put into, and it can give you knowledge over a much shorter period of time. I think that's what happened. He came out of that and went to business. I'm not sure, but we're just gonna skip over it. It was 5th worst for a reason. That being said, this week 5th worst was still over a 6, mostly because. Please put them on. Takamine-san did not have an episode release this week. I don't know what happened. I'm not complaining. But moving on to our 3-way tie for 5th best of the week. We're going to start with Go-Go Loser Ranger. This week was absolutely dope. We get to see how the Green Ranger group, I can't remember off the top of my head what they call their groups, do. Because the Green Rangers are basically the PsyOps. They're the ones that are sent in to go check things out, preferably without being noticed. Except they get noticed straight away. We do find out that there were 12 big bosses, which is cool to find out. And they are all named after a different zodiac or Chinese zodiac. I know that there's a proper term for it, but that's what we were raised calling them. And this group that being sent to investigate has the Snake, which is the big bad of illusions, which is how they end up in a time loop illusion where they're stuck in a day of school. Which would be bad enough. Every time they fuck up and break a rule, back to the start. And yeah, that would be bad enough. But I don't know what to call her, our other new recruit, apart from our big boy, at the end of the day, manages to get through it without any problems and becomes an NPC. Because there's a bunch of people just wandering around. She is now part of this illusion. And that's where we left off. Honestly, it wasn't this high up until that moment. And I'm like, that is such a good way to end off an episode. It got bumped up. But that only brings it up to our second tied for 5th spot. Can a boy-girl friendship survive? This is the show about this is my wholesome pick for the season. Like, if I'm having a bad day, I could happily chuck this on. It would be better if I could understand what they were saying, but I could happily chuck this on and just vibe with it. Because this is the show that asks, hell, can a boy-girl friendship survive? Because our main character makes jewelry. Specifically, he preserves flowers in specific ways that let them lets them stay their shape and colors. And over the course of this episode, we found out how they actually do that. And he shows through the process of doing it. Last time we found out that the childhood crush of his is actually the second female character that we've been introduced to. And that would be all well and good. But our main girl up here doesn't like that. And she got a little bit shitty about it and has told him that, hey, we're not friends anymore because you weren't picking up on the hints. which sucks because they're so fucking adorable. And this brings on to our next option, which is our third part of this three-way tie. Speaking of adorable things, we have Tabizatsu, or Zatsu Tabi, I can never remember which way around it is, which is a travel anime. And being somebody that is planning on going to Japan later in this year, I really want to go and check out everywhere that she checks out. Because everywhere in this show looks awesome. And it's the story of a mangaka who has no inspiration, so decides to go traveling to try and find some inspiration. And while she doesn't find inspiration that actually helps her in her manga making, she gets to see some amazing places and have some amazing time with her friends. Honestly, this is my sleeper hit for the season. I didn't think I was going to like it as much as I am, but I am loving this shit. So now that we're finally off of our three-way tie, we can move on to our fourth worst of the week, Your Former. This is the first show that I'm dropping for the season. And this week, we are dropping 3 things. Your Former is, once again, the what if we get Inception, but we needed a robot to help us do it? It's just... I can see a lot of people being hyped for this show. It's just not for me. I don't know how to put it up other than that. Because I'm also a notorious people pleaser, I want to try and give everything the best go I can. I've given it a go. I just don't care enough about robots killing people. I've seen enough products about it. It's just, it can move on. Next. Because next up, we have Classic Stars, which we get to be introduced to our blonde dude in the back whose name is Lieben, I believe. It's either Liebe or Lieben. I think Lieben. Who is incredibly intelligent and has been tasked with tutoring Beethoven so that he doesn't get kicked out of the school. And that's cool because it actually shows like, hey, these guys aren't just about the music. They have other things they're good at. Lieben is living a double life-ish. He's of two minds about this whole situation because he knows, hey, I am this great musician. I have this power. I have to use it. But dear God, do I not want to do classic music? So he does pop songs within his classic music, and they got what looks genuinely to be a K-pop or J-pop song, like the film clip for it, over the top of this music, and it was so good. We got to see people merging and splitting, seeing the two sides of his personality, being the lighter side and the darker side. It was a great fucking watch. And it's also great to see that, like, Lieben has fans. And not like, hey, classic music, we're going to just sit here very calmly and watch this guy play on piano. No, these guys were yelling out like he's a rock star, which little dude is a fucking rock star. After it, we have our third worst show of the week, which is Once Upon a Witch's Death, which also dropping this shit because I am tired of listening to her. God, this is also one of the first things that comes out every week for me. I'm having trouble remembering what happened. I know that there was a summit that happened, so the sage went away, and one of the other sages came in because she was going to be in town for some reason. And the whole gag of it was that the new sage's feet stunk, so she needs to have a bath. I couldn't care less. I also couldn't care less when there's a festival coming along, so another sage needs to be thrown in, and this sage is the same age as our main character. So she's pissed that she's not as far ahead as her. I could do much better things with my time than watch this, so we're cutting it too. That was Once Upon a Witch's Death. Windbreaker, however, does not fail to live up to the hype. Windbreaker, I believe this is the third week in a row that it has been third week in a row that it has been third best, because my 1, 2, 3 slots have not changed at all for the top range. This week we got to see the actual fallout from the fight on the Beaufry side, because our main guys have come out of our fight where we've talked it out amongst us. Now we've got to go talk to the boss. And the boss is an absolute G, because when he hears, hey, we had to go fight these guys because our friend was in trouble, because his friend got roped into them, more or less against his will. We also got flashbacks to when that guy actually got roped in against his will, and why he felt the need to do the things he did. I'm really hoping that the ex-Keel member gets brought in to Beaufry, because that'd be great. I also am terrified that I'm calling it the wrong thing, because I think it might be Furin and Beaufry is a different show. But you know what I mean. The Windbreaker guys. Also, I may or may not have the Keel jacket on its way at the moment. But more people need to be like the head of this faction, because he just takes everything in stride and loves his people, no matter what. At the end of it, though, we find out that somebody that was possibly a member of Keel, possibly just like a overhanger, isn't actually a member of Keel and was just there to watch them and make sure that they didn't, well, that when they fucked up too badly, that their group could profit from it. I'm not sure what this new group is going to be, but I'm sure it's going to be a bloodbath. And that's going to bring us to our number 2 worst of the week. Once the Dinner Table Detective, which also, you guessed it, has been cut this week. This show just was not great. I won't lie to you. It could be all right. It could be. But it both takes itself too seriously and tries to make you not take it as seriously, because they're trying to make it out that our main character is just this amazing detective that nobody else could beat. But her butler is a better detective? And I'm not a fan of crime shows in the best of times. This is not the best of times. But we're going to move on to our number 2 best thing of the week, which is exactly the same as it was last week. Yeah. This is Catch Me at the Ballpark, and here's the thing. This is the second thing that came out this week. This is the only thing this week that I would happily watch multiple times. And I feel like I need to, because this is another one of those things that came out at the start of the week. So I'm having trouble remembering what happened in it. But I remember that this show always just brings the joy. God, I am really struggling to remember what happened in this. Every time I'm watching this, it gives the good kind of visceral reaction. Like, I can feel changes in my body because of this show. Most of the other ones, I'm like, that was dope. But I don't really feel anything as a lasting thing from it. God, I wish I could be talking about what actually happened in this episode. I know that our worker has come back, but yeah, I'm going to start rewatching this before I start making these. It's been a long week. But we're going to get on to the second worst thing of the week, which I just finished directly before recording this. Princession Orchestra. God, I hate it. Once again, this show, we find out a little bit more lore of the world. We find out that the little gremlin-y things are called Gemma walks because we are going into the Alice in Wonderland vibes. And we also find out that the princesses can't use their powers unless they're singing and dancing. So once again, this is both musical and Sailor Moon, but worse at both. I feel like it wouldn't be nearly as bad if there weren't so many good music anime coming out this season. I feel like I've said that before, but it really got brought down by that fact. There's also a lot of witch things coming out this season as well. And this is... God, I just realized this is just... I think it's Matsubei Witches, or worse. But yeah. This just came out at the wrong time. But that's going to bring us on to our very last thing. You guessed it. It is once again To Be Hero X Best Anime of the Week. This week we got to see the current number 10 hero in the world, who I'm having trouble remembering his name, but his whole shtick is I am super strong and I am never going to stop holding things up. So one of his feats was he lifted a giant boulder, which was eventually made into a statue of him. And that's really dope. He also has a character that's a wolf girl trying to take him out, which is less dope. But the fact that he always wears this red scarf is like an identifiable feature of him. And we find out that Wolf Girl actually made him that scarf as a child, which, more dope. Wolf Girl comes and tries to take him out and knocks the statue over on top of him. I'll be honest, still fucking dope. But he can't cope with it anymore because people are having less faith in him and he's having less faith in himself. Because we also get to see another drawback of powers. His power is, no matter what, he will always be standing. Which is a great power until you try and go to sleep or go to the toilet. Because he can't do either of those things. He can't sit down, he cannot lay down. And that's sad as shit, man. But he ends up struggling to hold the statue that falls on top of him. At which point, Nice walks up, lifts the statue up. His struggles with it as well until his director, I don't know what you would call her, manager, I suppose, live streams it. He gets more faith, he gets stronger, and basically yeets the thing out of there. But we get out. This show loves its end of episode twist. Because we get the villain that showed up at the end of the previous episode, who was our lie detector from the first episode. And we find out that, hey, he's got Moon. Moon's meant to be dead. And people are finding out that that was a ruse. And if you don't get your ass down here, I'm going to reveal secrets. And even if you do, I'm probably still going to reveal those secrets. But that's what we've done for Anime for the Week. It has been a busy week for anime and for everyone in general. I hope you all have had a happy Easter if you partake in it. And if not, hell, chocolate's still amazing. That's going to do it for us this week. I will see you in the regular videos, the streams, and this time next week. Yeah, bye. Well, okay. Thank you.